All right, guys, Darren from FBA Elite, and welcome back to another video. So if you're stuck on product research, in this video, I'm going to show you the method I use again and again to find great products to sell on Amazon. So this is going to be a live sourcing session. So whatever I find today, I'm going to upload. I'm going to do this until I find a great product for new sellers. So I don't know if this video is going to be 5 minutes long, 15 minutes long, or half hour long, or even longer, but I'm going to go until I find that new product. And I'm looking for a product that would be good for new sellers. So maybe something that's selling around 150 to 200 units per month, and maybe revenue somewhere in the £3,000 to £4,000 of revenue per month, as that would generate around about £1,000 profit per month, which is what most new sellers are looking for when they start their Amazon FBA business. So it's a really simple technique, but if you do this again and again, you will find a great product. So I want you to come to Amazon, and we need a starting point. I need you to come up with a product. So think about any product that you've got around you in your office or at home, or something you ordered recently, something that's not big branded. I just need some sort of private label product that we can use as a starting point. It doesn't actually matter what it was. Now, in this instance, I'm gonna use, if you look on my webcam, next to the little lamp, we've got some photo frames here. Now, one of those is an acrylic photo frame. And the reason I want to use this, I just turned the light on, saw that photo frame, and it reminded me this is quite a good FBA product. So I thought, let's use this as our starting point. So we've got an acrylic photo frame. And I want to do, when I come to a niche like this, I want to find a product that is selling well and has a really good price point. The reason for that is if it's selling well and it's got a good price point, the chances are they may have other products doing the same thing. I'm going to go into that seller's store and take a look at some of those products. And there's some things you need to be aware of as we do this. So I'll talk you through that as we go. So I'm going to fire up X-Ray from Helium 10, which is the product research software that I always use. And this allows you to see the estimated data for this particular niche. So the first thing I'm going to do is sort these listings by price. I want to see the listings that are going at good value, because what I don't want is, for me, as I'm VAT registered, I want expensive products. Now, if you're a new seller and you're not VAT registered, I would still recommend going for higher value products. Anything below £15 is going to be very, very difficult. So you're going to need really to be pushing towards that £20 mark. So for me, I want to be in £20 plus, but I'm going to use £20 or around about that as the threshold for this video, as this will be a good example for new sellers. So let's start at the very top. The first thing we've got, actually, before I do this, let me just quickly show you these products in a bit more detail so you can see what they are. They're basically blocks of acrylic with the photo sandwiched between them. And they're quite cool, they're quite modern, and they look pretty good dotted around the home. So let's run that again and go through the stats. So we've sorted it by price. Now the first one here, this is actually a wall-mounted version, so not quite what I've got on the fireplace over there. The next one down, that looks all right. That's a multi-pack that's selling at £32 and they're doing just under 700 units per month. I'm going to ignore the sponsored listings completely. Next one down, that's only doing 6, so I'm going to ignore that. Then we've got one here, which is a slightly different style, £26, 423. So of those initial ones, this one here is the one that jumps out at me. It's exactly the same as a product I've got on the shelf over there. And they're selling 700 units per month at a really good price point. So I'm going to click through to this listing. So now we've gone on to this individual seller's listing. We want to go through to their profile page so we can see all of their other products. So on the right hand side, if you ignore all of the pop-ups I've got going on in my browser, where you've got the buy box here on the right hand side, you'll see dispatches from Amazon but sold by EcoHom EU. So regardless that the brand name here says Boxall Store, it's actually sold by EcoHom EU. So we're going to go into the EcoHom store, scroll to the very bottom, and it says here, see all products currently offered by the seller. So click that link, and this is where the fun really begins. So we're going to run X-Ray again, but this time just on this seller's products. And we're going to sort these again by price and look for the ones that are selling well. So his first two products here, which looks like some sort of travel headrest for children, but that's not selling anything. The next one isn't selling anything. This is the actual product we clicked through from. This one isn't doing any sales, but this one is. This one here, we've got some acrylic floating shelf kids wall-mounted bookshelves 4-pack, selling at £24.99, so decent price point, 166 units per month, great for most new sellers, and revenue about £4,000. So actually, this is a really good start. This video may not be that long. So let's click into this product. So we've taken a completely random product. We've looked at a seller that's doing really well with a particular product that's at a good price point and has got good sales. We're then looking through their storefront for ideas. So we found this one here, which is the acrylic floating shelf. So the first thing we need to do is narrow down the best search terms so we can actually analyze this niche correctly. So go back up to the top, set this to all departments. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can use the Helium 10 search expander, which I've covered in previous videos. So when we start typing acrylic photo, you'll get some suggestions and you can see what the keyword volumes are like. Now, this for me, at 300 search volume a month, isn't enough to be the core keyword. So if you can't find the answer this way, we take it through to Cerebro instead. So if you scroll down a bit, you've got the Helium 10 plugin here. Click on keywords, and this will pull this listing directly through to Cerebro. And what we're trying to do is establish the best keyword for this niche. Now, in some niches, this is going to be super, super obvious, and you might need to bobble with this. But with something like this, this could be searched for many, many ways. So what I want you to do is to put in a minimum search volume. This helps exclude a lot of the smaller keywords that aren't worth analyzing. So I'm going to say 500 because there's so many variations. Often, if it was going to be clearer, I'd probably start at maybe 1,000 search volume, but there's a lot of variations there. So 500 seems like a reasonable figure. And I also put a minimum word count of 2 as well, and click apply filters. Then hopefully, if we look at the organic rank on the right-hand side, which is where this listing appears in the Amazon search results for this particular keywords, we'll get an idea of which ones are the best keywords for this niche. So we've got wall bookshelves, which is great, but I wouldn't analyze this search term because the products aren't comparable. So I wouldn't enter this niche with that product based on that analysis. I need to find a keyword, a search term that is more accurate. And the second one here, actually, acrylic shelves, has a higher search volume. So that was 881 for wall bookshelves, but acrylic shelves is over 3,000. And the only ones that are above this are wall shelves, which is too general. You've got bookshelf, kids room, which is just under 2,000. So that could be very helpful as another potential keyword to target with your title, your SEO, and also your PPC, or it may be a separate niche you analyze completely. But in this instance, I would say acrylic shelves is definitely the best keyword to analyze. So we've clicked on that, and now we're going to search Amazon for acrylic shelves, and then we do our niche analysis. So let's launch X-Ray one more time, and we'll see whether this niche has any potential. So just to recap how I analyze a niche for anyone that hasn't seen my videos before, the first thing I look at is the search volume history to see how this product performs year round, to get idea of seasonality, because the last thing you want to do is launch a product that's really, really seasonal. So this is what's happened over the past year for the search term acrylic shelves. Now this is not something you will see very often, which is a random spike up in the middle of January. So this doesn't look like it's anything to do with Christmas. And honestly, I can't think of anything off the top of my head for why this would be something that happened consistently on an annual basis. My best guess is that maybe a product similar to this has been featured on some sort of TV program, or maybe it featured something in something that's gone viral and has created a sudden interest. So I would disregard this completely. I would look at the long-term averages, which is around 1,500 search volume per month. And at the moment, we're around 3,000 search volume per month. So my takeaway from this would be potentially be that the sales volume we're seeing at the moment may be inflated to the long-term average. So to confirm this, I would then go into individual products. First thing, filter all of the sponsored results, never analyze sponsored results. So you can click on the sales graph here, and we can see individual sales history for these products. So this is showing the spike in January. What it also shows is that sales at the moment aren't that much higher than what they were around about 6 months ago. So that's quite a promising sign. Let's take a look at another product here. Put that over the 1 year view. And again, selling 4, 5, 6 a day and similar sort of figures at the moment. So this spike, completely disregard. It's just throwing off the figures. Demand levels are either what we're seeing at the moment or just below based on the data that I've looked at. The next thing I'll do is then go from left to right. Now, if you haven't already looked at the niche before launching X-Ray to make sure the products are indeed comparable, because the last thing you want to do is analyze a niche where the products aren't comparable. These definitely all look like clear shelves to me. So if you don't do that first, you can do that within Helium 10 by just hovering over in the listing, and it will bring up the photo for that particular product. The next thing we check is to make sure there's no brand domination, and there's nothing to worry about here. Everyone is pretty much a different brand. If you saw a niche where there was maybe 5 or so listings from a particular brand, that's not necessarily a red flag, but it's certainly something to be aware of. But if you did see a niche where it's like 10, 15 listings, then I would probably avoid that niche. Price point. We've got 2 above the £20 mark. These ones aren't too bad at $18.99. You know, it's the higher end of the teens. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, plus a 2 above that. So you've got 5 or 6 listings proving there is demand at or around that £20 price point or above. Sales, we've got 483, 129. So they're a bit sporadic, but we do kind of have this spread out landing zone. Now, when I talk about a landing zone, I like to see 4 or 5 sellers achieving similar revenue figures to what I would be targeting, as that gives me kind of proof that products sell at that price point and at the volume level that I'm looking for. So if we're targeting £3,000 to £4,000 of revenue, you've got one there at 3,300, one at 4.6, one at 3.8, one at 4.3, one at 3.7. So there's proof there. We've got a landing zone, and to do that, 250 sales, 133 sales, 229 sales, 427, 127. So excluding the 427, as that's a bit high for a new seller, I think you could potentially say there is a landing zone in this niche. If you sold between 150 to 200 units per month at the right price point, you could hit those revenue figures of £3,000 to £4,000. So we've got a proven landing zone. The next thing I look at is the seller country. I like to see at least one listing really from GB. If they're all Chinese listings, often it suggests that the margins could be too tight. So it's good to see that the second organic listing is indeed a GB seller. We then take a look at the ratings. So what we've got here is one with 5 stars, and everyone else would only be shown 4.5. Now, I don't expect that 5-star to continue, as they currently only have 3 reviews, and as soon as they get negative reviews, that's going to be pulled down massively. What I tend to do is avoid niches where everyone's averaging 4.8, or a lot of the sellers are averaging 4.8 or above, because there'll be a lot of 5-star listings, and it's very, very difficult to maintain that 5-star average, and you're always going to be competing with those higher rated sellers. So I would generally avoid those niches. Review counts, I like to see 1 or 2 listings with either low 3 figures or double figure reviews. And you've got 2 here, one at 35, 35, 3, 76, 80. So it shows it's possible to get ranked in the top 10 organic results without needing to have thousands of reviews. And just a couple of final checks over on the right hand side. I like to make sure in the size tier that nothing is oversized, so your FBA fees aren't too crazy. And I also like to see a couple of new listings within the past year or so. So we've got some here in 2022, but not too many new listings, which can also be a red flag. So overall, there's actually a lot to like about this niche. Being completely honest, I didn't expect to find this so quickly. I thought it was going to take a few rounds of going through products to get possible ideas. Obviously, you have the small concern around this spike, but it certainly wouldn't be enough to put me off monitoring this niche, maybe looking into it a bit further, seeing what the profit margins are like and stuff like that. And then you just repeat this cycle. So if this product was no good, you would then do exactly the same process. So we sort this by price. We look for someone who's got a good price point and is selling well. So these guys here, £34, 194 sales per month. Let's click through to their listing. We then, on the right-hand side, go to the buy box. We click on their store name. And then at the very bottom, we scroll down until we say, see all products currently offered by the seller. And then we analyze their product. So they've only got 3 products to analyze, but you never know what you're going to find. And you keep repeating this. Now, if you strike out and you find this seller's no good, go back to the acrylic shelf niche and pick the next one down. So you do these guys instead. But as an example, again, this one here, 157, but the price point is too low. And this one, the price point is too low and they're not doing any sales. So indeed, this particular seller is no good to do this method on. So you'd pick the next one down here, which is $32.99 and 133 sales. We click on their listing. Yeah, hopefully you guys are getting it by now. But if you repeat this process, you will find a good product. There's no doubt in my mind. I've done this time and time again over the past 5 years. And if I do this for an hour session, I normally end up with a short list of at least 5 products that are worth considering. So to do this technique, I'd recommend using Helium 10. If you do use that, use discount code FBA Elite 20. That will save you 20% off for the first 6 months. Or if you pay annually, that will save you 25% off for the year. And what I'm going to do now is pop up a video that shows you guys 6 of the products I found using this technique, and I'll see you guys over there.